That looks like a big fat no then. Right, let's try this. Right, are we back? So in the comments, can you hear me? Can anybody see what's going on? If I go, let's try myself on YouTube. Hey, right, there we go. I can hear myself. Okay, so sorry about that. We had a bit of an issue with internet connection, which hopefully should be solved because it now says I've got an excellent connection, and earlier on it said poor. So let's get this moving. So, like we said before, if you want to play along, do it in the chat. You can do the answers as you go. But it's probably the best way is a bit of pen and paper so that you can make sure that you do the answers, and then after each round, you can have a look. So let's see what is what. So our quiz is going to look a bit like this. So our quiz is going to look like this. So there's going to be 4 rounds of around about 10 questions. After each round, I'm going to go through the answers, and round 4 isn't GCSE PE technically. However, it is still sport-based because it's going to be a bit of an emojis round looking at sports people. So it will look something like this. So you'll see we've got round 1, which is multiple choice. We've got round 2, which is short response. Round 3 is diagrams, and round 4 is sports stars emojis. So looks like the people are slowly joining us. Hopefully, we can keep this connection as good as we can. So in the chat, please make sure you comment just so I know that if there's any issues with the stream or if there's any problems along the way. Sorry, I've got my phone with me. I'm just trying to invite people who may have found an issue with, obviously, the nonsense we had earlier. Okay, so let's give it a go. So round 1, which is going to be multiple choice. As you all know, round 1, so the first set of questions in GCSE PE are all multiple choice. So these are the sorts of questions that you're always going to see at the start of the exam, and you would have seen had we had the exam today, which would have been paper 1. So which one of these is the most appropriate test to measure maximal strength is going to be our first question. So I'm just going to leave it there just for a bit because there are more and more people joining as hopefully they find this. So I'm just going to leave that up for you where you can think about the answers. We've got A, which is a 30-meter sprint test, B, which is the hand grip dynamometer test, C, the 1 rep max test, and D, which is the vertical test, the vertical jump test. Okay, so we're looking for which one of these is the most appropriate to measure maximal strength. So if you think you know the answer, maybe put it in the chat. If you're going to play it on pen and paper, go from there. Remember, this is question 1 in our round 1. Okay, so question 2. Which one of these lung volumes is defined as the volume of air left in the lungs after maximal expiration? Is it A, expiratory reserve volume, B, inspiratory reserve volume, C, residual volume, or D, tidal volume? So lots of different volumes there that you're going to need to know in your GCSE PE exam. Okay, so question 3. Which one of these muscles is found at the shoulder joint? Is it A, the deltoid, B, the gastrocnemius, C, the gluteals, or D, the tibialis anterior? So which one of these muscles is found at the shoulder joint? Question number 4. Which one of these bones is located at the ankle joint? Is it the femur, the humerus, the scapula, or the talus? So again, put which one you think is the correct answer. Question 5. Which one of these best describes coordination? Is it A, to change the body's position quickly? Is it B, to exercise the body for long periods of time? C, to move two or more body parts together smoothly? Or D, to perform strength movements quickly? Okay, number 6. Which one of these is, which one of these are suitable methods for collecting qualitative data? So, a bit of a sneaky question. This comes up quite regularly, this type of question. So, is it A, interviews and observations? Is it B, interviews and surveys? Is it C, observations and surveys? Or is it D, questionnaires and surveys? Okay, number 7. Which one of these is incorrect? Don't sharpen my voice there. The skeleton provides oxygen for the working muscles. B, the skeleton provides protection for vital organs. C, the skeleton provides structural shape and points for attachment. Or D, the skeleton provides support. So which one of these is incorrect? Yeah, not many people play in the chat, but that is absolutely fine. Just comment if you are watching, because still slightly dubious about my internet connection today. Okay, question 8. Which one of these is an immediate effect of exercise? Is it A, an improvement in muscular endurance? Is it B, improvement in stamina? C, increase in aerobic fitness? Or D, increase in heart rate? Here we go. Right, so it was my issue with the chat. Okay, so next question. So number 9. Which one of these performers is most likely to use altitude training? Is it A, a canoeist, B, a gymnast, C, a hockey player, or D, a marathon runner? Just put me back on the screen. Okay, so one more question, and then we will do the answers to our first round. Okay, number 10. The wall toss measures which component of fitness? Is it A, agility? Is it B, balance? C, coordination? Or D, flexibility? So the wall toss test measures which component of fitness. Now, these are the sort of questions that you are going to see every single year. So you will get asked about fitness tests, about which one is correct, which one is incorrect, what they test, as well as things like methods of training and principles of training, and lots of other things. Okay, so there are 10 answers that you could have done, and here are the answers that we should have done. So, number 1, we had C, which was the 1 rep max test. We then had residual volume, which was C again. Number 3 was A, which is the deltoid, which is the muscle in the shoulder. D is the talus. C is to move 2 or more body parts together smoothly, so that's obviously coordination. Number 6 is interviews and observations. Now, what we mean by quantitative and qualitative, hopefully you've gone through, but one of them is about data as far as numbers, and the other one's more about opinions. Number 7 is A, the skeleton provides oxygen for the working muscles is incorrect, so therefore that's the only one that was incorrect. D, increased heart rate. Number 9 was a marathon runner, and number 10 was coordination. So put your scores down, see what you got. So Abby got 9 out of 10. Well done, Abby. See how many my students got. So Morgan, Gurundeep, Stan, how do you do? Now this is the part of paper that lots of people in their revision kind of overlook. So a lot of it is that you might misread a question. So where it said things like which one is incorrect, you might just get that a little bit wrong. So I'd say not bad since I've only learned paper 2. Well, that's a strange one. Most people start on paper 1 or a bit of a 50-50 split. Well done, Anne-Marie, with your 10 out of 10. Okay, so round 2 is some short response things. So things like definitions and those kind of 1 or 2 markers that you might see in the exam. So let's have a look at round 2. Okay, so round 2. Here are all the questions. I've put them on the screen all at once, just so you can see a bit better. So here we are. If you do it on paper, it might just help you out that little bit. So number 1, name the 2 types of movement that can occur at a hinge joint. Okay, so this could be a 1-mark question because at hinge joint there are 2 movements available. Essentially what you're being asked in this question. Okay, number 2 is name 2 flat, should be bones in the body. Number 3 is define cardiac output. 4 is what is meant by the term fatigue. 5 is define health. Number 6 is define fitness. So health and fitness are very different things. I'm just going to take a quick drink. Next one is, and again, I've put this in because some of my students who are doing their coursework at the moment aren't very good at telling me what is in a warm-up. So there are 3 stages of warm-up. What are they? After that, we're looking at stating 1 improvement to fitness that a performer may gain from a well-planned circuit training program. And then finally, number 10, name 1 test that can be used to measure power. So again, back on those fitness tests. So going through this again, so name the 2 types of movement that can occur at a hinge joint. So in this question, first thing you need to know is what the hinge joint is in the body. Then you're thinking what movements are they possible to do. Second is name 2 flat bones in the body. Again, don't do silly things like putting left and right, this and the other, because it's not ever going to get a mark. Number 3 is define cardiac output. So this is some of the things about the cardiovascular system. So I'll give you a quick clue. This one's about the heart. And the reason you know that, it says cardiac. What is meant by the term fatigue? And again, we've got to be spot on. So I talk about Goldilocks terms with my students because it has to be just right. We've got to make sure that when you're doing these, that you are getting the correct terminology and that you're not sounding like you've never studied the course before. Next up is define health. Then define fitness. So health and fitness are different. Can you be fit without being healthy? That's a question that they like putting in every year. State what is meant by the term flexibility. Again, we need that definition, so it's got to be that Goldilocks term. What are the 3 stages of warm-up? Again, they've got to be in the right order. State 1 improvement, and there are loads and loads that you could put, but it's only asking for 1. 1 improvement to fitness that a performer may gain from a well-planned circuit training session, and name 1 test that can be used to measure power. So let's give you another 10-15 seconds, and then I'll go on to the answers. Gone a bit quiet again in the chat. I know there's not many of you out there today, but that's fine. Okay, so going to go through the answers in 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here we are then. So the two movements that can occur at a hinge joint are just flexion and extension. So my elbow is a hinge joint. It can only do flexion or extension, can't do anything else. Name two flat bones in the body. You could say the cranium, the sternum, the pelvis, the scapula, and the ribs. Those of you in the chat, what do all of those bones do? What's their primary function? Lil Mushroom, do you do these quizzes regularly? I don't, but if you think it'd be a good thing to revise for, then hopefully I can, because at the moment, obviously, there's not lots and lots for you guys to do. Okay, so define cardiac output. It's the amount of blood ejected or pumped from the heart in 1 minute. So all that blood that leaves the heart. Well done, Stan. Well done, Abby. Both of you saying protection. We are then on to what is meant by the term fatigue. So fatigue is extreme tiredness. So you can't just say tired, it wouldn't be sufficient. You have to say extreme tiredness. So when you are fatigued, pretty much you can't really do much else. Define health. It is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So basically, what that is saying there is that you have to be physically, mentally, and socially healthy, essentially, and then not have any illnesses. So you could have everything, but have a cold, and that means that you're not healthy. So define fitness. It's to meet the demands of the environment. So you might be fit and healthy, but you might not be able to walk as far as you need to. Now I'm just going to take me off because I've just seen on there you can't actually see it. So let me just change that on my software. There you go. So you can see the bottom ones. Okay, so back into there. So to meet the demands of the environment. So you could be fit and what you guys think of not being very fit. So if my fitness only requires me to walk to the fridge and back again, and that's my entire day, like a lot of us are maybe at the moment, we're fit enough to do that. If our environment changes, we're suddenly less fit or not fit. Okay, what is meant by the term flexibility? It's the range of movement around a joint. So some of you could touch your toes because around that joint you've got more range of movement, and some of you maybe haven't. What are the 3 stages of warm-up? Is a pulse raiser, it is stretching, and a game-related activity. I like to think about chewing gum. I would never take the chewing gum out of the wrapper and try and stretch it because it'll break. So don't start stretching before you've got yourself warm with a pulse raiser. If we do circuit training, we can improve agility, speed, flexibility, and mainly we're looking at muscular endurance. Name one test that can be used to measure power. Any of the jump tests, so vertical jump test and the standing long jump test. So again, put your scores in the chat so you see how you guys got on. So Lil Mushroom says that she got all the questions that I did correct. Doesn't tell me how many she did though. How many did you get, Stan? 5 out of 10, but we haven't studied most of it. You're absolutely right, we haven't. Okay, so round 3 is about diagrams. Now, in the exam, you guys are going to see lots and lots of diagrams. You're going to see things that are going to be showing you how things are going to be working, and you need to make sure that you understand exactly how you should answer these questions. So it's really, really important that we do these types of questions. Gurundeep, you got the same as Sam. Well done, Gurundeep. Lucy, you're in year 9. That is absolutely fine. Again, it's just a good way of you guys seeing what you're going to be seeing in the exams. So, okay, in round 3, it's going to be diagrams. Okay, so you're going to see things like this in your exam where you will be shown a diagram. So here we've got a diagram of a synovial joint, and it is asking you to label A and B. So we're going to get a mark for each here. So what is structure A? And what is structure B? So again, if you play in the chat, do it in the chat. If you do it on paper, continue to do it on paper. So on these questions, you're only really going to be asked to state. So it's just literally what it is, not being asked to explain, nothing else. Just tell us what it is. Okay, so question number 2. what position does the elbow move into in position B? Now, this sort of question is something that really seems to trick lots and lots of students. So it will ask you from position A to position B. What it's saying is what's happening in position B in that final picture. Okay, so what position does the elbow move into in position B? So you can almost ignore position A because it doesn't really matter to you. Next one. So state the plane and the axis the gymnast is using to perform a cartwheel. So again, for this one, it's a 1 mark question, but we need 2 answers. Okay, typically this is going to be a 2 mark question. It will say state the plane and state the axis, but for the benefit of this quiz today, we're only going to get 1 on here. So we're going to get 1 for the plane and 1 for the axis. Did I get these questions off Revision World? Now these are all actually well, don't know. I've never seen Revision World, to be honest. They're all past exam paper questions, so you will see them on lots of papers. And hopefully, if we see you again before the end of the year, Stan, you'll see them in a test, so we'll see what you know and what you don't know. Okay, again, next one on question on round 3 is identify the agonist muscle which causes the hip movement in position B. So once again, it's given you position A, position B, position C. Some of that is a bit of distraction. You only need to know in this question what is happening in position B. So identify the agonist muscle which causes the hip movement you can see in position B. Okay, so next question. So this is a question all about lung volumes, and this is a spirometry trace. So it's asking you to identify the lung volume labeled X. So if you can't see it very well, it is the one which is the longest one at the top. So again, if you might watch it on your phone. So again, we're looking here at identifying the lung volume labeled X. Okay, next question. Identify the type of synovial joint working at the shoulder. So identify the type of synovial joint working at the shoulder. So next question is the heart. So identify the areas of the heart labeled X and Y. So you'll see that there's a line going towards them. As you know, the heart is broken up into 4 chambers, and it's asking you to label the one which is X and Y. Okay, next question. And this is the final one in this round. So this diagram represents which fitness test? Now, in last year's paper, there was a question about this test, which asked you to describe it, how it should be set up. You can label it like this and draw the diagram if you see fit. So again, if you're not quite sure how to explain it, you could draw the diagram. And again, if you could put the measurements on, that'd be absolutely amazing. You should get all the marks. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back through those ones so we can talk about why it is what it is. So in the chat, guys, if you're ready to move on, just give us a quick shout and I will do that. Okay, so question 1 was label the structures A and B. A is the cartilage and B is the synovial fluid. If you got both of those, you get 2 marks. If you got one of them, you get 1 mark. Next question was what position does the elbow move into in position B? Position B is extension. So the elbow is moving from flexion to extension. If you put extension, you get a mark. Next one. So state the plane and the axis the gymnast is using to perform a cartwheel. So in a cartwheel, we fall sideways. So what happens there is that we work on a frontal plane but a sagittal axis. So the sagittal axis goes straight through your middle, and you basically spin around that point. And a frontal plane means that you're going to move to the side. Next question. Identify the agonist muscle which causes the hip movement in position B. So in position B, we've got flexion at the hip, which is called by the hip flexors. So the agonist is the hip flexor. It's a muscle that lots and lots of GCSE PE students really forget about, and it's the easiest one. It says what it does in the title. It's a hip flexor. Next question, identify the lung volumes labeled X. Okay, so X is the big long one that we've got going from 3 litres up to 6 litres. And what that one is the inspiratory reserve volume. So basically the most amount of air you can forcefully inhale. Identify the type of joint working at the shoulder. The shoulder joint is a ball and socket joint. So that's what it's asking you to do. It's basically saying what type of joint is the shoulder joint. So on this one, it asks you to identify the areas of the heart which are labelled X and Y. If you look at the top of the diagram, it says right and left, and it's actually the other way around. So it's imagined that it was on you. We've got X, which is the left atrium, and Y, which is the left ventricle. And then finally, this diagram represents which fitness test, and that is the Illinois agility test. So that is our round 3 done. So again, in the comments, guys, see how many you got. Hopefully there's lots of good answers out there and loads of you done really, really well. Now, the reason there's a bit of a pause, guys, is that there's quite a big delay between me streaming it, the chat coming up and things like that. So that's why it's a little bit stop-start, which I apologise about. What's it out of? Good question, actually. It was out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's out of 10. So Abby got 8 out of 8. So she might need to go back and just achieve them there. Anne-Marie got 11 out of 11, giving herself an extra mark maybe for a plane and an axis. We'll see. Lucy got 4, but we'll see. I think Lucy was one saying that she's in year 9 earlier, so that's still a great effort. Abby ordered me a 10 out of 10. What did my boys get? What is Stan and Gurundeep and Morgan and I guess Xavier? So Stan got 6, Gurundeep got 7. Is Morgan left us? Is he not here anymore? Okay, round 4 is our final round, and round 4 is literally about sports stars. So you may have seen lots of quizzes out there that have shown lots of maybe sports, things like that, using emojis. This one is like that, and well, we'll see. So here is round 4. So in round 4, you need to guess the sports star. So we've got all of these 7 people who are all sports stars from lots and lots of different sports. And all I want you to do is to be able to tell me who they are. So using the emojis, can you work out who they are from number 1 through to number 7? So obviously got number 1, which is the person who's at the top left, and you'll see the little numbers by it. If you're watching on your phone, you might not see it that well. So just give you a little bit of time to think about that. I'm just going to the chat because there were a couple of questions about some different things. Just while you work on that. So Archie asked a question, what is going to happen to our sports that were meant to be assessed this year? For you, Archie, as a cricketer, it's difficult. We don't quite know yet. You may have some of the season left. You may have none. We may have to organise certain summer activities, maybe in September, or the exam board may change what's going on. So for year 10s, there's not really been anything out there yet to say exactly what's going on. There's been obviously the concern about year 12, year 11s, year 12s who are taking exams, and year 13s who would be completing everything. So at the moment, we don't really know. So any other questions about things like that while you guys are trying to work out who these sports stars are? Even any year 11s out there, because I reckon there's one or two that have snuck in. So we'll just go for another minute or so, because hopefully some of you work these out really, really quickly. Particularly number 6. Number 6 is really simple. Hold on, Stan. Okay, so let's go through these really quickly because I reckon there will be people who will be watching this in the future who missed all the fun when they could be involved in the chat. So let's do it in the chat for us who are live, and then for those of you who are watching not live, we'll go through the answers in a sec. So Lucy Longworth, number 1, Lewis Hamilton. Congratulations, you are correct. So number 1 is Lewis Hamilton. Number 2, who thinks they can get number 2 correct? So we've got an arm in the middle. Someone who's looking, they may be lifting lots of weights, we might call strong. So can you think of anyone who number 2 may be? This is where the delay between the chat and what I've got going on is a bit different. Not seeing anybody get it. Okay, number 2 is Lance Armstrong. So Lance Armstrong was a cyclist who took lots and lots of drugs. Well done, Anthony. Well done, Stan. Okay, number 3, someone's already said it in the chat, is Lionel Messi. Number 4, again, I already seen that one in the chat. I think Archie got that one, is Tiger Woods. Number 5, haven't seen anybody get number 5 yet. I'll give you a clue. He is a former cricketer. He was England captain at one point. Can anybody get number 5? Let's see again in the chat. Does anybody think they've got number 5? Mike Baker, Alistair Cook, well done. So Alistair Cook, left-handed opening batsman for England and for Essex. Number 6, I think Stan got that one, it was Mike Tyson. And then number 7, my wife found this one very controversial, she wasn't having it. Who is number 7? Not seen anybody get it yet. So number 7, I'll give you a little clue. The second thing is a video or a vid. That calendar shows us days. We might want a very small part of that where we could put that day and then the video. And it's not pig, but maybe the meat we get from pigs that might be thinly sliced. So day, video, ham. Sure, that's another clue, Stan. Come on. Yay! Lots of people find it David Beckham. Yeah, my wife wasn't having that one. She thought it was stupid. But there you go. That is our quiz done. Now, again, in the comments, guys, now we've found out that our interconnection isn't as bad as we thought it was. We can look at doing a paper 2 one on Friday where we would